Hello, welcome to another edition of Behind the Veil. Today we had a wonderful service and we shared on a topic which is very interesting, and this is what titled Freedom is to do the will of God. So we challenged our conventional knowledge or understanding of what freedom is. So come with me as we go through this very important topic that will change what you think and perceive about freedom. So let us look at what the Bible says. In Galatians chapter 3, it says that sin has put all of us into prison. So the default is that we are all not free. We are all prisoners. So if we can understand it from that point of view, then we will start to know what freedom is. And when you look at Galatians chapter 5 verse 1, it tells us what freedom is. It says, freedom is what we have. Christ has set us free. So before Christ, we are in prison, and after Christ, we are free, and that is freedom. So this is what we're going to tie in to. Freedom is doing the will of God. For example, when you come to a country like New Zealand, those that follow the law and abide by the law walk freely around the country. Those that do not do the law or transgress the law are found guilty and put into prison. So between these two, who is free? Those that are free are the law-abiding citizens of New Zealand who are out there doing as they will. And those that do not do the law are charged and put into prison. So when you look at it, freedom is actually following the rules, not necessarily going about with no rules and no boundaries. So this is the distinction we are trying to make today. Now, our perfect example of someone that walked in perfect freedom is Jesus Christ. What does the Bible say about Jesus Christ? In John chapter 6, it says that he came down from heaven to earth, not to do his own will, but to do his Father's will. That speaks of obedience. Now, what does perfect will or perfect freedom has to do with the will of the Father or obedience? You look at Psalm 119 verse 45, and it says, I will live in perfect freedom because I try to obey your teachings. Because there is a correlation between someone who lives in perfect freedom and someone who obeys the will of God. When we look at Romans chapter 8 verse 2, it talks about two laws. Talks about the law of the Spirit and the law of sin and death. Now, comparing that to what the analogy we made about New Zealand, those that follow the New Zealand's law and obey it enjoy the freedom and the rights that come with it. And those that disobey are put into prison and do not enjoy freedom. So depending on which law, there are only two laws. If you follow and obey the law of the Spirit and you obey that, you enjoy the freedom that comes with God. That is an eternal freedom in the Spirit. But if you follow the law of sin and death, you enjoy the freedom that the world gives, which ends with spiritual death. Now someone may ask, shouldn't there be limits? Definitely. There is no freedom without limits. There is no freedom without limits. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 says that although some things are lawful, they may not be beneficial. Although some things are lawful, they will not be beneficial. Why am I saying this? To enjoy the game of tennis we need rules, we need boundaries. Imagine trying to play tennis on a court without boundaries, on a court without markings. It takes the joy out of it. So when we talk about freedom comes with limits and boundaries, we don't talk of it in a negative way. God has given us boundaries to enjoy our freedom. And freedom does not necessarily mean being outside the boundary. We talked about countries like Iraq and Libya, where there's anarchy, there's no government. But those places are the places that have most chaos in the world. So it tells us that rules and limits actually help us to enjoy our freedom. I enjoy driving when every other person obeys the rules. I enjoy driving because I know every other person will stop when it's red lights. But if freedom means that everyone should run red lights, it will just be chaos, not freedom. So this is what we talked about, that freedom and actual spiritual freedom is to do the will of God. That is the challenge we put to you today, to have a different perception of what freedom is. Today we hope we have started a conversation in you to really think about what freedom is. Because in Matthew chapter 1 verse 21 it says that Jesus came to save us from sin. If we have established that sin puts us in a prison or in a bondage, it means that Jesus has come to deliver us. Obviously, Jesus is not bound with us because no one who is in jail with you can offer you bail. Jesus comes to free us because he comes with perfect freedom, which comes from obeying and being in the perfect will of God. Join us another time, or better yet, as we always say, come and join us for the full service next time, or wait for the full audio message on Facebook. God bless you and see you again on Behind the Veil.